Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our council meeting for the 21st of May 2024. In the event of an emergency, the building may be evacuated. You will be required to vacate the building by the rear entrance and gather at the breezeway between the library and art gallery buildings. This is council's designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anyone permitted to re-enter the building until all clear has been given and the area deemed safe by authorised personnel. In the event of an evacuation, a member of council staff will assist any persons present with a disability to vacate the building. Any apologies, Mr CEO?
We have Councillor Tammy Greenhouse is an apology. Councillor Floyd is on screen. I've got no CFO and no Director of Development due to illness.
Can I have a move?
Apologies, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. Seconded by Councillor Powell. All those in favour? Against? Carried. This council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at this council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak at this council meeting that you ensure you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Orange City Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. A recording of this council meeting will be made for administration purposes. Acknowledgement of country. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to give an acknowledgement in language. I was fortunate enough last year to get to work on this as part of a TAFE Certificate 1 and want to thank my teacher, Anthony Riley, and everyone I did the class with. And say, Mandang Guru Almambaldine. Thank you, teacher. Rajri Mangalang Nadu Gubara, Murugai Narui Daingalang Garaja Niani Nangira, Walambangang Guliagavu, Wire Dura Bubulin, Jire Gani, Ujigangalang, Maradalbu, Yandulbu, Yinjamaragu, Nadu Nuna, Warajari Nurambang, Gare, Biligalang, Bula, Numbai Winangana, Nianinya, Warajari Muji Galang, Almanbira, Gurebu, Bilagalangbu, Nanana, Yandu, Ninyalgi, Garebu, Biligalangbu, Nanga Giri, Maingalang Walan Mara, Maragara Mawang, Nundani Murugai, Maingalang Nina Nangirada, Yinjamaragu Nadu Nuna, Murugai, Maingalang Duru, Muremin, Nadu Gubarabu, Yinjamarabu, Nangulia, Nina Nurangubu, Nurambangubu, Dabuyara Murun. In English, I acknowledge the Wiradjuri people, the original custodians of the land on which we meet. Sovereignty was never ceded. I pay respect to elders past and present. Wiradjuri country is known as the land of the three rivers. Wiradjuri elders teach us, look after the land and the rivers, then the land and the rivers will look after you. Hold together, empower the people. I pay respect to any First Nations people present at this meeting. I acknowledge and respect First Nations people's continuing culture and their contribution to the life of this city and this region.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. I'll move on to declarations of interest. Any declarations? Righto. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll declare an interest non-pecuniary, non-significant in 5.5 as I'm a member of Orange 360, and in item 6.7 have closed as the organisation in question is a customer of my business. Thank you.
Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I declare a pecuniary interest in closed item 6.7. I am the non-executive chairman of Octec Limited.
Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Definitely a conflict of interest in 5.5, the tourism service contract of Orange 360, as I am a board director and I will be definitely leaving the room. Thank you, sir.
Any others? I've got two, which is 5.5, 360 board. I'll be leaving the room, and item 6.7 as I am a board member on Octec. Opening prayer, we welcome Lama Shawang Butwa from the Karma Yewong Samartan Ling Tibetan Buddhist Centre and ask that they lead us in the opening prayer. All stand.
Good evening to all of you. We are from the Buddhist Center in Monlang, and we are very enthusiastic to be here tonight I look forward to explaining about this wonderful prayer and then chanting for you. Verses of the 8 auspicious ones. This is a highly respectful prayer of the Himalaya people and often read by monks before important occasion to bring good luck, peace, loving kindness, compassion, and clarity of vision. This is a prayer to all the Buddhas concerning the activities that are about to begin. It is to pacify all obstacles and harmful influences. It brings growing fulfillment and accomplishment of all wishes, to bless then the environment with both happiness and prosperity. Sangye choda choge chonam la chancho pardo dani gyalso agi dinso ge be sonam ge jola penje sangye drubrasho simje damje dewa dan dewe gyoda demba gyuje dungal da dunye ge gyoda chawa gi dunga mebe dewa damba da mi chawa gyuje niren chada ni da cha Danyam Chimbola Nebra Guru Ze Chaza Wada Chechen Shaba Dan Jizo Yiran Gujin Sawai Wa Tunze Dagi Chizaba Tamje Zobe Chanjo Chiringo Wo Om Nashi Namda Ranjin Lendro Be Tashi Chojo Shina Shubayi Sangye Cheda Giden Pabet Gunla Zajan Daja Tashi Sho Dime Gyabo Zalden Tendo Chambe Genba Geda Baldamba Kunla Gamba Gezara Tabaje Limbo Torba Zalda Baldan Samje Damje Lagon Tembe Ba Izam Zeba Zara Tabande Chinzan Tube Taje Babewa Yora Sheba Gela Zaza Lo Jamba Shino Balden Dorje Zenchere Jiwan Gambo Zambe Ba Saye Nimba Diba Nambasa Namge Nyambo Pazo Gundo Za Uba Doje Pega Loshen Da Nabo Dawa Raje Nimae Chaze Lena Taje Bagezo Chanjo Semba Gela Zazalo Rinchen Doza Taje Serge Nya De Zon Poza Yewan Kamala Hinda Denda Pinzo Babe Minup Gyazo Wangiro Kolo De Rinchen Dazo Gege Chaze Chode Gyawa Jeje Gege Mangeso Ngowa Chimbe Babe Taje Lama Gela Zazalo Samba Chimbo De Zon Seme Minda Deda Gyaba Yungroza Page Boda Loa Memeza Namde Shede Laje Kolot Tishu Ladan Dindon Dorje Jempewa Rale Cheden Gyajenje Sazo Nizo Gele Tajep Jiden Gyawa Gela Zazalo Daja Dindre Chawa Zambala Geda Nyawa Chawa Kunje Jen Diden Bolben Samden Nishin Taji Dele Puzum Sobrasho Daja Dindre Chawa Zambala Geda Nyawa Chawa Kunje Jen Diden Bolben Samden Nishin Du Taji Dele Puzum Sobrasho Daja Dendre Chawa Zambala Geda Nyawa Chawa Kunje Jen Deden Balben Samden Nishin Taji Dele Puzum Sobrasho Temba Jiden Kanzun Jambada Temba Nive Shindo Solada Tenjin Pola Dajin Geba Temba Yurin Nebe Taji Sho Jiden Deji Lole Dantuna Pejin Chipewa Dele Puzum Sobada Ila Deba Kundo Obje Sonam Riu Shindo Tembada Gijin Ida Shindo Solada Nginda Namkada Bokyag Tashi Degya Dende Delexo Giri Donta Gijo Shiwada Miden Nebe Genda Chawada Temba Gijo Puzum Chog Tashi Degya Dendere Delexo Drawe Dunga Minje Bodewa Tamje Chungene Temba Nida Kuden Sede Yuri Ne Giro De Chancho Semne Rimbo Che Mage Panam Kegiro Yaba Nyamba Meba Dan Kone Kondo Palwara Sho. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome, as we've said before, the Kinross Year 11 Legal Studies students here tonight to the council meeting. Thank you for your interest, and hopefully it'll be a good meeting.
Hopefully we won't need your legal studies skills.
Okay, councillors, I will adjourn the meeting for the conduct of the open forum. We have two speakers tonight. On item 5.3, the Southern Feeder renaming engagement. Our first speaker is Gemma Dwyer. Thank you, Mrs. Dwyer. You've got 5 minutes. I'll just introduce all the councillors before you start. I've got Councillor Whitten, Councillor McDonald, Deputy Mayor Councillor Power, Councillor Mallard, Councillor Peterson, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Evans, Councillor Kinghorn and Councillor Miletto. You've got 5 minutes. And Councillor Floyd, who's on the screen. Sorry about that, Councillor Floyd.
Good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and other residents who live on Park Road. Last year we were invited to a consultation meeting here at Council that was facilitated by Ellie Bryce. All the residents present unanimously agreed that our preferred address change was Brabham Way. We felt that it tied in with the fact that Jack Brabham Fields are situated about halfway along the roads that will be renamed. Locals and people from out of town are very familiar with Jack Brabham Oval because of its high usage for sporting fixtures. Urangnai Way appears to be the most likely alternative name. Our reason for not wanting this is because there is already a Urangnai Place in Orange that is off Hargraves Crescent. This name is too close, almost a duplicate, and we don't want to have any confusion for emergency services, postal systems and delivery people. We were advised that we could not retain the current name of Park Road as they already had a Park Street and a Park Lane. So we presume the same would apply to Urangnai Way and Urangnai Place. There is also a Urangnai Road and a Urangnai Creek in our neighbouring Cabon Shire, which reflects where Urangnai spent his time around Molong and Boree. We do not like either Southern Distributor Road or Southern Feeder Road as options. This will remain our residential address, and it sounds like we're living on a freeway, which could potentially devalue our homes. It's also impractical in the sense of filling out any official or legal documents. Southern Feeder Road has 18 letters, excluding house number and spacing, and Southern Distributor Road has 23 letters. Most forms do not have enough room for street names this long. There are currently 8 houses who will need to change their addresses. We ask that you consider our opinion as we are the shareholders that are directly affected by the name change. Not just today, but into our future on an everyday basis. Our choice is Brabham Way. It ties in with the sporting oval, it has significant historical reasoning with the area, easily recognisable, easily pronounced, spelt, definitely our preferred option. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dwyer. The next speaker is Mr. Robert McLaughlin, and he's speaking on the same issue. Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. You've got 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, councillors. I'm here speaking in favour of renaming the Southern Feeder Road after Uranai. Uranai, just a bit of background on Uranai, was a Wiradjuri man and a guide, and he belonged to the Molong district, South Wales. Aborigines who joined Sir Thomas Mitchell and his 29 men soon after they set out from Boree near Molong, 1845, on the journey of exploration that took them to central Queensland. Uranai was first mentioned in Mitchell's journal 3 weeks after the start of the journey, when he tracked and brought back to camp 3 cattle that had strayed. Thereafter, he was frequently and gratefully referred to for finding water, scanning the country from lofty trees, pacifying the Aborigines who shadowed the expedition, generally imparting bush lore. Mitchell wrote of his guide, quote, guide, companion, counsellor and friend, that his intelligence and his judgment rendered him so necessary to me that he was ever at my elbow. Confidence in him was never misplaced. Naming roads is often about providing recognition of explorers, builders, royalty and local contributors to our betterment. You and I would probably be the earliest of the leaders in our community. He was considered very highly by the white explorers. You and I's name for this important road recognises part in finding a way to the north, passing around the traditional housing of Aboriginal families at the Springs. This road provides a way to the north in Wiradjuri country. Following the new road north will eventually lead to Molong, passing his grave along the highway. Or a friend, Mitchell. Now, there has been mention in the press about pronunciations and the difficulty in do we need another Aboriginal word that may be difficult for some to pronounce. But I put it to you that we know now, it took me a while to properly pronounce Canowindra, because I've forever called it Canowindra when I first arrived in town. But we have Weewar, Gnu and Garnabulla. We know now how to pronounce it. So, in conclusion, this opportunity to recognise our shared history is an important one. Recognition will help future generations to understand the links between both colonist and the Wiradjuri. But there will be placing the name on this thoroughfare which will serve hundreds of thousands of people into the future, stimulating the questions around you and I. Such esteemed I commend this to you, councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. The council meeting will now resume. I'll move on to 2.1 mayoral minutes, Country Mayors Association General Meeting. Can I have a mover?
Move it.
Councillor Whitten, second by Councillor Peterson. All those in favour? Against? Carried. And the other one, the other mayoral minute is for the 2nd of July council meeting. The National General Assembly's on from the 2nd to the 4th, so we are looking at moving that meeting.
Move that, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry?
Move it.
So we're going, there's two choices. We can either move it to the 9th and then we have a council meeting on the 16th, or we put everything in on the 16th. My proposal would be to have the council meeting on the 9th.
I'll move that way.
Move that way. I have a seconder. Any speakers? Councillor Peterson?
I need a second, sorry.
You're right. So just to let people know that there'll be no council meeting on Tuesday the 2nd. The council meetings will be held on the 9th of July and the 16th of July. 2 weeks in a row. Okay, I'll put that motion. All in favour? Against? Unanimous. I'll go to 3.1, confirmation of the previous meeting. I have a mover.
Move it.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. Seconded by Councillor Power. Any speakers? There being no speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. We'll move on. There's no notices of motions. We'll move on to general reports. 5.1, recommendations and resolutions from policy committees. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Duffy. Seconded by Councillor Whitten. Any Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, and I can take it on notice to the director if he can see he's hiding behind me. I just want to know what studies were done as regards to the traffic directions and into dispersal of traffic with the new roundabout on Hill Street and Mulder Street. I just wondered, I've been receiving a lot of calls and saying, hey, things aren't working too well, and just want to know what the groundwork was for that. If it could inform us of that, and probably I'm happy to take it on notice.
I think
You're referring to
are you talking about during construction, finished construction, start of construction?
Of traffic and the what studies went into it?
Detours.
while it's being built.
While it's being built.
I think I recall answering a similar question from last council meeting. Happy to resend the information out, but I'd probably prefer to take it offline with you, with the councillor directly, just to see what the concerns were, if work around that. But it's a well signposted detour around the worksite. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Miletto.
Just a point of clarification to the director. Would that be the information which was contained in the email which was sent to the councillors at the beginning of last week? Sorry?
It was the end of the week before, yes.
Thank you.
There being no other speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. 5.2, Statement of Investments, April 24. Can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any speakers? Thank you, Councillor Kinghorn.
Mr Mayor, just what I did point out at the last 2 meetings ago, the last meeting where this topic came up, that on page 50 where it says 15 consecutive interest rate rises in the last year was no longer accurate. I noticed it's still in there for this meeting. So just so that whoever is supposed to change it can be aware, there were 2 rises in the last 12 months, one on the 7th of June 2023 and one on the 8th of November. So if that could actually get changed this time, please, that would be good. Also, page 51, got our portfolio performance. I'm just thinking that we need a more realistic benchmark. We've never reached the benchmark, so there's obviously something not right. Benchmarks should be achievable, and either it's achievable and we're not achieving it, or it's not achievable, in which case we need an achievable benchmark. So can we follow that up with ARIC?
Any other speakers? There being no other speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 5.3, Southern Feeder Road renaming engagement. Councillor Duffy.
Mayor, I propose very much what's written, but except I want to change a couple of words in the recommendation to rename the Southern Feeder Road the Southern Distributor upon construction completion, and the rest of that sentence, and that Southern Distributor Road be put to the new Geographical Names Board.
Have we got a seconder? I'll second that. Councillor Floyd.
Yeah, I understand the story behind Uranai. I think there's a number of places around roads named by Uranai, and the issues involved with Geographical Names Board being wary of naming different roads in a similar area to using the same name, because there could be confusion. I'm also aware that Uranai is importance to the Central West, which is not only just around Molong, it's around Orange, it's around most of the area. I mean, you go down to Bathurst, and I think it's a bit of an insult to him where you see Uranai crouched down on the ground. He wouldn't have been able to see anywhere. But I think that's something we should address in as regards to a statue of Uranai somewhere in here. I also go back to the situation of the Southern Feeder Road and the Northern Distributor Road. Look at the situation of what we have with the NDR and its diversion of traffic and its flow. The same thing will happen with the Southern Feeder Road. It's going to be enhanced business. It's going to enhance a lot of traffic flows. It's going to ease traffic up Anson Street. It's going to ease traffic up Street. And I think it'd be much easier for those people in the districts of Cowra and all those people in the south, Canowindra and those areas that want to go through here and come here from Canberra to our major services, being the hospital and the mines and all those things there. So I think it's just Southern Feeder Road passes the pub test. Everyone when you talk to they're saying, hey, it should be the Southern Feeder Road.
You said Southern Distributor Road, didn't you?
Sorry, the Southern Distributor Road.
Councillor Miletto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Now that it's Southern Distributor Road.
Mr. Mayor, I was going to make a change to the motion, and that was to be changed to Brabham Way.
An amendment?
Yes.
Second amendment.
Can that Councillor Evans?
Mr. Mayor, the reason being is that whilst I respect the opinions of the residents who currently reside on that road, a lot of the feedback which I've been receiving is that was in relation to the the public exhibition, and people don't believe there was enough opportunity to provide feedback in other means. Only by the council website is my understanding. Therefore, their opinion wasn't heard. So I've received a few phone calls. Maybe it's something which we can look at in the future, but that's a concern which has been raised with me. So so my amendment would be to have it as Brabham Way.
Thank you, Councillor Miletto. Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'll speak in favour of the amendment and against the motion. I'm against the motion for the simple fact is that it's too generic. If you live on the southern side of the southern feeder, then it becomes the northern feeder, doesn't it, Councillor Duffy? So generic names like Northern Distributor and Southern Feeders don't really identify the location if you're not in Orange and you're going to come to Orange. So things like Jack Brabham Way, is that what your motion is, Councillor Miletto, or Brabham Way, a fixed name which are more identifiable. And as the speaker said in the forum, it gives them the opportunity which is more identifiable for their addressing purposes.
Thank you.
So, so I'll speak for the amendment. And I just might mention about Urinai Way, look, very important name, but in my time on council, I've seen duplicate names always refused by staff because of the obvious reasons. They confuse if there's already a name in town that has a crescent or a street or a lane, it generally doesn't pass approval from New South Wales Planning because it's already located in this precinct. So, I'm supportive of the Brabham Way. Just a question through you, Mr. Mayor, just to familiarise my knowledge, how did we come up with the selection criteria for the names? Because I noticed there were only 3, and I did see in the report, basically if you look at the report from the vote on your say, out of the 42,000 plus residents of Orange, about 800 participated. Thank you. Director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the original names that were put up into the Your Say came from the engagement sessions that were held with a variety of members of public, including the residents and other local groups who attended those days.
Thank you.
Councillor Floyd.
Oh, yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So firstly, thanks to the speakers earlier on tonight, and thank you to Councillor Miletto for his amendment. I'll be voting against the amendment and against the recommendation tonight. And my reasoning for this is not due to the name proposed, but due to the actual wording of the recommendation. The wording being that in line with the favoured option within the community. Now, we got this wrong with Lord's Place development, and I vowed not to do it again. We had a total of 907 respondents to the survey, in which only 2.15% of our population of approximately 42,000, the name chosen secured only 306 votes out of that 907, which is only 0.72% of our population. How can we say that this is the favoured option of the community with less than 1% of the community voting for it? So as I've said, Lord's Place decision was based on a survey result of 53% out of 250 respondents, along with other factors, of course. However, that was only 0.31% of total community favour. So we have a well-named Northern Distributor Road, which is doing the same job as this one is designed to do. So in my opinion, Southern Distributor Road is the name that will best resonate with the community and with visitors. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You were speaking for the motion.
Against the amendment and against the motion.
The motion, Councillor Duffy's motion, is to name it Southern Distributor Road.
Sorry, for Councillor Duffy's, yes, correct.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, firstly, just have a question. When we, probably through you to the CEO or the director, when we submit something to the Geographical Names Board, as it's been mentioned before, if they've got a problem with it, they'll reject it. Just as a process question, can we go, okay, this is our first preference, and if there's a problem with that, this is our second preference?
Through Mr. Chair, I've got no experience in these matters. Mr. Greenham might.
Generally not. However, I would say the significant difference here is Urinnai place is spelt differently to proposed spelling for Urinnai 1. Possibly would get through the geographic name. It's the fact that there's another Urinnai place or a Urinnai street or adjoining council area, not significant. Quite common to have Miss Street or adjoining council area. So similar to that.
In that case, I'm going to speak against the amendment and against the motion, and I'll foreshadow another amendment after we discuss this one. Speaking against the amendment, mainly because I get that Brabham is a well-known name, but I mean, he came to Orange once and drove a car. Urinnai has had a far greater impact in both Indigenous and non-Indigenous history. Okay, you might say that that's a small percentage of the population, but just because the rest of the population either didn't know about the survey or didn't engage with the survey doesn't mean we disregard what those who did engage have said.
No, we don't.
No, that's all right. Councillor Floyd, you need to turn your speaker off.
So no, all good.
Yep. And the Councillor McDonald's got the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So look, I think the speaker before, Mr. McLaughlin, gave us a really good snapshot of Urinnai's place in history. And as the director has said, it's not going to be spelt the same way. And, you know, we do, I mean, we still argue over whether it's Lucknow or Lucknow. People get used to pronouncing things the right way or the way that they're going to do it till the end of time. So for that reason, I'm against the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll speak for the amendment and against the motion. Look, any other day I'd be in favour of a First Nations name for any type of landmark. I just don't necessarily think this is the one. I've tried to look at this from a more practical instance for the residents, and also just in terms of what's connected to this road, or what our city is connected to by the rest of this road, and it is Brabham Park. So, you know, I think looking at it that way from a practical sense makes much more sense than Southern Feeder Road or Southern Distributor Road. That's a bit rubbish. I think we can make this work. It tells us where we're going, what we're doing. And I think on from that, the dual naming of Mount Canobolas, I think, has set a precedent for perhaps other ways down the track to look at dual naming of other landmarks where it can recognise both aspects of our heritage. But I think in this instance, we need to look at it from a practical sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Peterson.
As we have actually conducted the community consultation, I'm normally inclined to support the most popular option. But I do have some questions and suggestions. The most popular response seemed to have only a third of the vote. I'd like to know if in future it's technically possible to have some sort of preferential or optional preferential voting. It would be really good to have a situation or avoid the situation where a minority ultimately approves something that a majority would have opposed. My other question and suggestion is it possible to give a weighting to those with the most skin in the game? In this interest, as it was spoken earlier, would be those that actually lived on the road. I'm really thinking ahead. community consultation, which starts tomorrow on the Pinnacle Road, reducing the speed limit. Opinions of those that live on the road should actually be weighted more, I feel, more heavily than those that only use the road intermittently. It'd be good if those sort of distinctions between the vote and exactly who voted for it could be made clearer in any future community engagement.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Did you want those questions answered, or are they suggestions, or what are they?
I've been told that there might be an answer, so.
Mr. Chair, we've got some detail on those that live near the road.
Mr. Chair, we did have the option to speak to where the voter lived. Of those respondents, we did have 13 who indicated that they lived on the existing road, of which was referenced that 8 of them would have to have a name change. Now, we can't assess whether the person was being truthful, and we do know that there are only 9 residents along that space, and there were 13 respondents who claimed to be, but that could have been 2 people that lived in the same residence. Of those 13, 100% voted for Brabham Way.
Preferential technically possible or just too hard?
Everything is technically possible.
That on notice and come back to you. Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm curious as to how many unique submissions there were. Do we have a way of establishing that? I realise that you can only have one IP address, presumably, doing a submission, but there's nothing to stop somebody voting with their phone and their iPad and their home computer and their work computer. So I'm just wondering if we have a way of navigating that. I like the simplicity, the logic and the consistency of the Southern Distributor Road. So I'll be voting against the amendment and for the motion, what it does.
We do choose not to look at the IP address, particularly for certain households that might have less tech-savvy people. They would be 2 individuals who would be independent in thought but using the same computer and therefore the same IP address. So while I appreciate that, it does allow us to have one person vote multiple times, it does also then restrict people who only have access to one IP address, or for people who don't have internet connection at home and use places like our library.
Thank you, Councillor Kinghorn. Councillor Mallard.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just speaking to the amendment we're dealing with at the moment, yeah, I can't support that amendment, and I appreciate the arguments that have been made in favour of it, but I frankly feel like we've got enough things that are named after privileged white blokes, and Jack Brabham is included in that. We've already got the Oval named after him. I don't see the argument that means we name something else after someone with a limited connection to the history of the city.
Mr. Mayor, I take offence to the comment about privileged white men. Last meeting we had another councillor who referred to councillors being privileged. I don't think there's any need for it. I actually take offence to it, and I'd like the
Councillor Mallard. Councillor Duffy, I'm dealing with it. I'm Councillor Duffy, I'm dealing with this. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we have an opportunity.
So, are you going to apologise, Councillor Mallard?
No.
No? Okay. Go on.
Yep. We have an opportunity here to provide a bit of civic leadership. I understand Councillor McDonnell has already indicated she intends to move a further amendment, and I think that'll be the same amendment I was going to look to move. So I'll come to speak on that when we debate that amendment about Uri Way. But I don't see the argument for needing to name another road because we have an oval that already bears that name. I think we can signpost things we already do to indicate where Jack Brabham Park is. So I just don't find that a compelling argument for going for that name. Thanks.
Councillors, I'll I'll be speaking for the motion. I think having the southern, I've always said this from day dot, we had the northern distributor road, we should have the southern distributor road, and we've got an eastern distributor road and a western distributor road. That's what the northern distributor is, distributing traffic throughout the town. And I understand you and I was a very important part of Major Mitchell's trek out west, so I think we should be able to commemorate him some other way, whether it's a statue or something like that. And the Urungai, having the same name and spelling it the same, having different spellings, it's still going to be the same name. So there's still going to be that confusion if there's an emergency services need to go to, if it's spelt one letter different, I still think there's going to be a problem with emergency services. So I'll be speaking for the motion of Southern Distributor. Councillor Whitten.
A question through you, Mr. Mayor. So, given the director's comments about the process of the Your Say, I'm always very, the democratic process is first, second and third. But based on the comment from the director, this process on Your Say is basically flawed because it can be manipulated. So it's not a real, it's not an accurate or true representation of who voted for these things, because we can't identify who they are. They possibly don't even live in Orange, or they could have multiply. So using that as a weighting and a process of what the community want, flawed, because we can't use that as statistical information, right? Because we can't identify the IPs, we can't identify who did it, where they did it, how many did it, how often they did it. So it's basically, we can't use it as a democratic
So would
process.
you like the director to make a comment?
Of course.
Mr. Mayor, the change to remove the requirement to register to vote was actually come as a result of council wishing to have more respondents, and it was found that the length of time that required to register and identify yourself was a significant barrier for people to participate in voting.
They could have come from anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be speaking against the amendment and the motion. Due to this process, when we were asked as councillors to bring forth names, I did. I brought forth you and I. Then, so the data says already, you can unplug it and you can say 1%, 2% and all this stuff here. So it is. But the data is very simple. 306, 236 for Bradman Way, 306 for Urunai's Way. We have bedded Orange City Council down on simple one thing: consult with the people. Consult with them. So we are consulting already for a flight path between Orange and Newcastle. We are talking to Orange people. If we, excuse my French, renege on this because the data, we're not going to agree with this data, sir. I'm sorry. This is not the way council should be working. We went out there and said, let's talk to the people. Let's take it. We actually voted to take it to the people, which we did, sir. Which we did. And now we come back and then now we're going to try to unpack it and say, oh, this doesn't work for me because of whatever. Sir, Mr. Mayor, with due respect, when you look at the information that we provided, where they live on thing, and with no disrespect of every other name that's put forward, they all have an opportunity and should be called that. But when it comes to the motion that is put in place here from the data that took 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks, sir, they come up with Urunai's Way, Urunai's Way. Now we want to say, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, we did ask for your opinion, but we're not going to agree with that because we got other opinions. And so I rest on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Powell. I'll put the amendment. Oh, you want to close the debate, Councillor Dove?
Is there a foreshadowed amendment?
I just want to raise the issue
Hang on, can you just wait a second, please? Just take a seat for a sec. Thank you. Are you foreshadowing an amendment?
So foreshadowed an amendment.
Have you got a seconder?
Councillor Mallard said he was going to second
And
mine.
what's the foreshadowed amendment?
That it's actually the motion as written originally.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Duffy, you're closing
Mr.
the...
Mayor,
Sorry, point of...
there's another-
he's closing the debate on the motion. Aren't we voting on the amendment first?
voting on between the amendment. That's the amendment. Follows.
Yeah, we know that.
Debate here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm quite aware of that, Councillor Duffy.
I go back to Mr. Mayor. I just want to get over the years, and the people of Orange done over the years. They spoke probably for more than 7 decades. They've always spoken about a ring road around Orange. Taking head off to Councillor Taylor, we come up here with, I think, the then Minister Carl Scully, and announced the first lot of funding which started from the Escort Way around to the Molong Road. That was the first step towards the whole thing happening of what it is. And the Southern Distributor Road, call it, links up with the Northern Distributor Road and creates that ring road. Something that the people of Orange wanted all the way along. I just want to go back to the voting process. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if I've got one mobile phone with another one number, another one with another number, and I've got an iPad and I've got a computer at home, I can have 4 votes. I've done it myself on previous occasions, and I've seen it happen in schools where they want to promote something. I'm not totally against what the voting system is. A lot of people don't get a say. They can't be bothered because it's too hard or those sort of things, irrespective of all those sort of things. Again, go back to the situation, the Southern Feeder Road, simply of course, it'll tell the traffic, heavy vehicle traffic, to go out around through the Southern Feeder Road and get other areas like Cow and Canandra.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Just to get clear that your motion is Southern Distributor. You keep on saying Southern Feeder. No. Yeah, okay, I'll put the amendment, which is Brabham Way. All those in favour?
3, 4.
Against?
Rest equal.
Yep. Going for the foreshadow amendment now.
Amendment.
Here comes the amendment. So
Guy Way.
Going Way.
And I.
You and I way. Sorry.
Aye.
I'll put the amendment first. All those in favour? 4. Against?
Rest equals 7.
So the motion is it's Southern Distributor Road.
Now we vote on the motion.
The motion is
Southern Distributor.
Southern Distributor Road. All those in favour?
2. Hands up, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Against?
4.
So it's Southern Distributor Road.
Southern Distributor Road is successful.
Thank you. I'll move 5.4. The function centre has been withdrawn. 5.5, which I'll be declaring interest with Councillor Power. Councillor Whitten, you're closest.
Oh, good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
3 out. Good evening, sir. We're 4 out. So
Councillors, we've got a few councillors who've declared an interest in this item 5.5, Tourism Services Contract for Orange 360 extension for 30 June 2026. There's a recommendation. I'll read the recommendation for the audience that Council resolves to extend the tourism funding agreement provided by TTO Limited, trading as Orange 360 for 12 months until June 2026. Can I have a mover and a second? It's been moved by Councillor Miletto, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Kinghorn. I'm looking at your name tag and I can't see the name tag. My apologies, Councillor Kinghorn.
I'm not that easily offended. I'll support this, no problem. I think they do a really good job, but I would like to see the tourism funding agreement that we're voting to extend, and it wasn't in the supporting information. So would somebody mind sending me that so I can have a read, please?
Absolutely, thank you.
You don't want an answer now? I was just going to refer to the CEO that he might be able to brief you on it now. You'd just rather see the document, would you?
He probably knows it off by heart. That wouldn't might take too long.
Of course he knows it off
Send
by
me the document. Thanks.
Look at it if you want me to.
Any further speakers for or against? There being no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? The motion is carried unanimously, and I will ask the Mayor and his colleagues to return to the chamber. In the meantime, our students in the back, how's it all going? Are they guilty or innocent? Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
And Mayor now returns to the chair. Probably want to explain to the Kinross students that we're about to go into a...
Kinross students and everyone else who's in the room, I can't see if there's anyone else. We're just about to head into a closed meeting, so you've got your early mark. Thank you for attending. Thank you. The Chief Executive Officer will now advise the Council if any written submissions have been received relating to any item advertised for consideration by a closed meeting of Orange City Council.
I have no such submissions, Mr. Mayor.
In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regulation 2021, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is of kind as referred to Section 10A2 of the Act and should be dealt with in a confidential session of the Council meeting closed to the press and the public. 6.1 Local Government New South Wales Destination Visitor Economy Conference 2024 nominations for council attendance is classified confidential under provision of Section 10A2/F matters affecting the security of council, councillors, council staff or council property. 6.2 request to enter into new parking agreement at the Orange City Centre. 6.4 proposed sale 4616 Mitchell Highway, Lucknow. 6.5 easement council-owned land, lot 182 DP 623231 from 33 Bletchington Street. 6.6 lease hangar site M Orange Airport. Lease 67 lease top floor Soldiers Memorial Hall are all classified confidential under provision of Section 10A2C. Information that would be, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage of a person with whom the council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. 6.3 is an acquisition part 473 Pinnacle Road. If it's classified confidential under provision of Section 10A2DI, commercial information of a confidential nature that would be, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position if the person who supplied it.
Well done. What a go.